This magical town allows people to meet their dead relatives once a year, except for this young girl. She wants to meet her dead parents, but first, she needs to dig out her mysterious past and find her real identity. Once upon a time in a town called Santa Clara, there was a really evil professor named Morley. He was afraid of losing his life, so he discovered a way to cheat death. Beside being evil, Professor Morley was also very smart and used a spell to escape the Grim Reaper. When his death time arrived, the Grim Reaper kept looking for Professor Morley everywhere but couldn't find him at all. After successfully tricking the Grim Reaper, the professor discovered a way to permanently stop the Grim Reaper from taking any more lives in Santa Clara. No one had to die, but it wasn't as good as Professor Morley expected. There were a lot of patients and old people who were dying in pain, but they still had to keep living. There was no cure or end to their sufferings. Professor Morley had interrupted the cycle of life without thinking about the consequences of this spell. The people eventually found out the real culprit and captured Professor Morley. He was sentenced to live forever detained alone in a place where no one could find him again. Afterward, the people of Santa Clara found a way to get noticed by the Grim Reaper. They invited him warmly to the town and celebrated his return like a festival. The Grim Reaper never experienced such respect and love, so in exchange for this lovely gesture, he left a special gift for Santa Clara, a magical hourglass that allows the dead relatives of the citizens to visit them for a whole day. Once a year, anyone from Santa Clara can meet his dead relatives by performing a special ritual. A beautiful shrine is created on the 2nd of November to welcome the dead. In this town, there lives a little girl, Salma. She grew up in an orphanage and always believed that her parents had died, so she was left here. Her best friends are twin brothers Jorge and Pedro. One day they tell Salma about the hourglass ritual, so she starts begging them for help in meeting her parents. The orphanage nanny has warned the boys not to make a shrine for Salma, but they really want to help their friend. It's the 2nd November, so the boys secretly build a shrine for Salma's parents to fulfill her big wish. The only thing missing is a belonging of the dead one that must be placed on the shrine. Salma doesn't have any pictures of her parents, but there is a small box with dragon carving in her luggage. Assuming that it may belong to her parents, Salma puts the box on the shrine. After a while, a dragon spirit flies out of the shrine because the box belonged to an ancient dragon. Jorge asks his friends to run away while he tries to distract the dragon. In this attempt, he gets seriously injured, and the nanny finds out everything. She scolds Salma for breaking the rules and putting her friend's life in danger. The hourglass power is really sensitive and not a toy for kids. Instead of messing with it, Salma should accept the orphanage as her real home. For the next 10 years, Salma never tries to build the shrine again, but she hasn't given up on finding her parents' whereabouts. One day before the next ritual, Salma sneaks out of the orphanage to continue investigating her parents. On her way, she gets hit by a merchant's carriage. The merchant feels ashamed and offers Salma to take anything from his shop for free. Salma chooses an ancient necklace that has a picture of a tree of life. Afterward, she goes to her hiding spot, which lies under a well. Her best friends Jorge and Pedro are already there waiting for updates. Salma shows them the necklace and the symbol on it that resembles the symbols on the Forbidden Castle. Besides that castle, Salma has investigated every other place to find any clues to her parents. Maybe this necklace is a nature's sign to help Salma. She wants to use it in the upcoming hourglass ritual to call her parents souls. Jorge reminds her what happened last time and the promise they made with the nanny. However, Salma is tired of living with so many questions. She wants to know about her parents at any cost and begs her friends to build a shrine. As the ritual time arrives, everyone in the town gathers to welcome their loved ones. The nanny is busy as well, so Salma takes this chance to secretly build the shrine. She puts the necklace on it and prays for a miracle. Unfortunately, she fails again. The nanny hears the noise and runs to check on them. She feels sorry for Salma and reminds her that good friends are like a family too. Salma is tired of hearing this and runs away. Jorge and Pedro rush after Salma and find her near the seashore. She is preparing to depart towards the Forbidden Castle. It's time to find the secrets hidden there. Jorge and Pedro can't leave her alone, so they get on the boat as well. After a while, they reach the island and travel towards the castle. Pedro takes the lead to show his bravery but gets attacked by a spider. He runs around blindly and unintentionally finds the hidden door to the castle. Suddenly, a small white animal jumps out of the door and hides in the bushes. The boys start to panic, but Salma befriends the little animal and asks for its help. The animal gets fond of her and opens all the gates. It leads Salma towards an ancient spellbook that is placed in front of a giant tree that resembles the symbols on the necklace. As soon as Salma touches the book, she starts reading it unintentionally. Salma believes that her parents are trying to connect to her. The spell she reads opens a portal inside the tree, and they all get pulled towards it. They land in another dimension that feels like an abandoned building. The white animal tries to stop Salma, but she's not going back after coming so far. She's tired of people stopping her from doing what she wants. After the little animal leaves, 2 guard spirits appear to stop Salma, but she uses a spell from the ancient book to defeat the guards. When she still keeps moving forward, a giant guard spirit gets in the way. Jorge and Pedro get scared and beg Salma to do something. She reads a random spell that summons 3 little spirits who easily get thrown away by the giant one. Salma hides in a corner with her friends and reads another spell from the book. This one is also not the right one and turns the boys into weird creatures. They volunteer to distract the guard spirit and request Salma to keep looking for a good spell. Unfortunately, before she can help her friends, the guard spirit creates a giant hole in the ground, and the boys fall inside it. Salma gets really angry at losing her friends, and she uses a powerful spell to defeat the giant spirit. Meanwhile, the boys fall right into the underworld, which is brighter and livelier than they expected. It's full of dead people who assume that Jorge and Pedro are one of them too. The boys keep trying to explain what happened to them, but no one believes that they are alive. Eventually, they meet a 2-head guide spirit that keeps arguing with itself instead of helping them. Suddenly, the spirit's body opens up, and another guide spirit jumps out of it who agrees to help the boys find a way out. On their way, Pedro notices the thousands of golden butterflies and stares at them like a child. The guide spirit understands the curiosity and explains that the butterflies can talk and represent a specific memory of your life. Whenever someone remembers you in the living world, a butterfly appears in the underworld. The butterflies and the shrines connect the 2 worlds so the spirits can travel between them. Before the boys can ask any more questions, a portal opens for the guide spirit because someone from the real world is calling him. Seeing this, Pedro gets an idea to collect butterflies and use them to open a portal for themselves. On the other hand, Salma gets really depressed and keeps staring at the hole waiting for her friends to return. She doesn't even realize that a mysterious man is standing right behind her. He tells Salma that everyone assumes the underworld is a dark and depressing place, but in reality it's really colorful. Salma gets startled by his voice and asks his name. The man refuses to reveal his identity, but he confesses that he also lost all of his loved ones to the underworld. He knows how it feels to stay awake all night regretting not doing enough to protect your loved ones. However, the man knows a way to help Salma because he studied the spell book really well. He opens a specific spell and asks Salma to read it. As soon as she does that, a giant tree grows out of the hole. The little spirits and the white animal stop Salma from following the man, but she has no other option. After getting on the tree, Salma asks the man again about the people he lost. Hearing this, the man pulls out his fiance's picture. He fell in love with her at the first sight, and she loved him back too. The man didn't waste a second and put a ring on her finger, but the girl fell seriously ill and died. Since then, the man started to hate the Grim Reaper who always takes away your most loved person, but lets you live to suffer alone. Before the man puts back the picture, Salma notices that the girl is wearing the necklace she found earlier. However, she doesn't say anything and keeps following the man. He takes her back to the castle and reveals that Salma's parents lived here and they were great magicians. That's why Salma was able to read the spell book. The man shows her the picture of her parents, but the nanny is in there too. She is actually Salma's grandmother, Sarah, who kept hiding her real identity. Suddenly, Sarah reaches there looking for Salma and the boys. She immediately recognizes the man and says that he's no other than the notorious Professor Morlet. Sarah asks Salma to stay away from him, but Salma refuses to do so. Morlet told her about her family and answered all her questions. Hearing this, Sarah decides to reveal the whole truth. Salma's parents were indeed magicians and lived in this castle. But all of a sudden, her mother fell seriously ill. There was no cure, so Salma's father contacted Professor Morlet, who was known for his work on immortality. But Morlet didn't care about anyone's health. He just wanted to steal the secrets of their magic spells. He convinced Salma's parents to give him access to the magic book that was hidden in the pyramid for centuries. From there, Professor Morlet found the spell to hide the town from the Grim Reaper. That was how Santa Clara escaped death and stopped the cycle of life. However, Salma's father had to sacrifice himself to save her mother. At first, she was happy to see everyone in town becoming immortal, but then she realized the consequences. People were suffering from painful diseases and old age, but they couldn't die. Salma's mother and grandma decided to break the spell and punished Professor to stay locked away for eternity. The Grim Reaper came back to town and started taking back pending lives, including Salma's and her mother's. Sarah wasn't ready to lose her granddaughter, so she ran away with Salma as soon as she was born. She also lied about her origin and never let her build a shrine, so the Grim Reaper stayed unaware of her presence. Salma is supposed to be dead, but Professor Morlet's spell gave her time to be born. Therefore, he expects Salma to be grateful to him. On the other hand, Sarah calls Morlet evil and advises Salma to stop listening to him. However, Salma is not in a condition to decide who is right. She starts to panic and her magical powers get out of control. Salma gets frightened of herself and runs outside. Sarah tries to follow her, but she slips and falls down from the stairs. Instead of helping the old lady, Morlet goes after Salma to use her in his evil plans. He starts calling her the princess of both worlds because she is neither alive nor dead. Moreover, she is the daughter of 2 legendary magicians, which grants her enough power to bring the dead back to life, not only for a day, but forever. Salma falls for his lies and agrees to help him. She summons the Tree of Life and gives away herself to the dark magic spell. Afterward, she goes back to the town along with Professor Morlet and starts building a giant shrine. Salma is going to bring her parents and all the dead people back to life. Both the underworld and the living world start to shake by the impact of Salma's risky magic. Jorge and Pedro are still trapped in the underworld, but luckily they meet their dead parents who protect them from other spirits. They advise the nanny to never let the boys build a shrine so they can become emotionally strong and independent. They also tell the boys about a flying train that can help them return to their world. Jorge and Pedro go after the train while Salma has completed the shrine. Professor Morlet asks her to chant a specific spell, after which no one has to suffer from the pain of losing a loved one. However, the spell is not meant for the dead relatives, but for the lost evil souls locked away in the underworld. A gate opens between the 2 worlds and everything starts to shake, but Professor Morlet advises Salma not to stop the ritual. Finally, the Grim Reaper appears to stop this mess, but Morlet calls him the real evil who took away Salma's parents. She must take her revenge. Once Salma completely loses herself, Morlet takes this chance to fight the Grim Reaper. He spent years looking for a way to kill the Grim Reaper, but failed. However, he found another solution. Morlet is going to replace the Grim Reaper. He snatches away his scythe and becomes the Reaper himself. Salma finally comes back to her senses and realizes that Morlet was just using her for his personal revenge. Salma gets ready to fight him and close the portal between the 2 worlds. Morlet reminds her that she will not be able to meet her parents ever, and her friends are stuck in the underworld too. Salma has to accept the evil deed she did with Morlet, and they are going to bear the consequences together. But Salma is not going to trust his lies anymore. She must fix all the things she messed up. Hearing this, Morlet gets angry and attacks Salma. She also fights back with full might, but eventually gets defeated. Meanwhile, Jorge and Pedro are trying their best to return to the living world, but only one of them can ride the flying train. Pedro always annoyed his brother, but now he wants to do something for him. He voluntarily disconnects his carriage and lets Jorge travel to the living world. As soon as he reaches there, Jorge rushes to help Salma. The nanny has arrived as well and comforts Salma. In the obsession of finding her parents, she destroyed so many lives. Salma can't back up now. She must stop Morlet and make him regret messing with her family. Salma uses her most powerful spell to summon giant dragons. One of them captures Professor Morlet, while the other one closes the gate between the 2 worlds. Sarah wants to give the ugliest punishment to Morlet this time, but Salma believes that revenge is not a solution. Everyone loses someone, but we need to accept that death doesn't take away anyone. They are just transferred to our memory and live there forever. Saying this, Salma makes another shrine and asks Morlet to call his fiancée using the necklace. As soon as he sees her, Morlet forgets about everything else. Salma also returns the scythe to the Grim Reaper, who isn't happy with Santa Clara anymore. He takes away the hourglass but spares Salma's life. He also lets her meet her parents once, as there will be no such festival in the future. The Grim Reaper takes away Morlet to decide his punishment, while Salma stays behind with Sarah and Jorge, who aren't less than a family. The next year, the citizens make the shrine again in the memory of their loved ones. They may not be able to visit them, but the butterflies will deliver the love to the underworld. However, there's someone who is definitely coming back to the living world. Pedro eventually finds a solution and escapes the underworld to meet his friends.